Let's get to our conversation, and we want to talk about patent, intellectual property. But now from the angle of sports, okay? Because we've talked about patent and IP in the creative space. If you are doing music, if you're doing arts, if you're painting, if you're drawing and sketching. Now, Mutua Mutuku, who is a patent agent and IP lawyer, is here to talk to us about now patents and all, now in this other side. Mutua, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well.
Yes.
Karibu sana. Felaris is going to welcome you with the day's quote.
We meet in different corridors with Mutua today. Good to see you.
Oh, you're also an IP lawyer?
Unajua kwa masekta ingine.
Ama wewe ni patent agent.
Ama wewe ni athlete.
Ama wewe ni
Naweza kuwa mimi
personality.
athlete. Ama business owner kwa hiyo space. Jack of many trades.
Yes.
Master of one. Today's quote is courtesy of an American anthropologist, writer, and political thinker. Name was David Graeber. And the quote is, "The ultimate hidden truth of the world is that it is something we make and could just as easily make differently." How does that speak to you?
Oh, mind-blowing. Let me leave it. Let me just leave it at that. It's
Mind-blowing.
Yes.
Leaves you thinking.
Leaves you thinking,
Yeah.
and that's what you want on a morning.
Correct.
Yes. Before the end week.
Choosing to do things very differently.
Yes.
Everyone can make a difference. Well, you're here to give us knowledge and insight. Now, World IP Day was last week. Was it last week? April 26th?
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Yes.
And the theme this year was around IP and sports, and how much do we know about how much we could make in the sports sector as far as intellectual property is concerned, and how much can we innovate. And now we're going to bring it home. So maybe just set the stage for someone that is hearing IP for the first time or patents for the first time and is like, this is complex. Help us understand it better.
Let me just break down intellectual property in the most basic way that we can all understand. When you were younger, I don't remember which group was did a song and they said Wakili pia ni muscle. Simple. That is a basic understanding of IP. And the longer definition of IP is that it comes from the creatives, the creations of the mind. So remember that conversation about Wakili ni muscle? So anything that you create out of your mind is recognized as property. And you know, us lawyers like going back to the Constitution and trying to speak about legalese. I will not want to bore anyone with that conversation, but I will say this. There are a number of constitutional provisions that speak to intellectual property law. You have an Article 11. You have Article 40, I think subsection 5. You have Article 69. And you have a definitive section in Article 260. That is the genesis of intellectual property in Kenya. But because, you know, we keep throwing this word patents, trademarks, perhaps if you allow me, I can just do a brief definition of all these terms.
Yes.
So, IP has two major facets. And facets, I mean just faces. One, you have industrial rights. And second, you have copyrights. That's a major division. So, industrial rights is what we like a lot. Patents, utility models, design models. And the highest level of protection we have in intellectual property is patents. You know, it's something new, something that you've created, something that has never existed. Just under patents, we have utility models. We call them petty patents. They have not gotten to the novelty test because patents have a three-step. One, the novelty test to be extremely new, something that has never existed, has to have an inventive step. Inventive step simply means that the person having the ordinary skill of that cannot come up with that. Like, for example, if you, let's say we're innovating on news, I don't expect Latif to come up with that because he's a person having the ordinary skill.
Okay.
And of course, there's the industrial applicability. If you're producing something in terms of patents, it has to be for large-scale production.
Okay.
So a utility model does not meet one of the thresholds. So that's why you call it a petit
patent.
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 Now, once you go there, minus that, you'll get to something called a design model. A design model is the way this cup has been designed. The design of this, the design of your shoe, the design of the shoe that did 159, the design of the shoe that has brought all these conversations, the design of the Ferrari, it's just that. Then trademark, visibility. When you look at the NTV logo, where does it take you? Can you identify that good? It can be for either a good or a service. And I was, just before we started the conversation, we were having a tete-a-tete. We were saying, the person who's ripped big from Champions League, now going back to sports, is Visit Rwanda. Because you have two
Yes.
teams getting to the finals.
Yes.
PSG. Actually, PSG, Arsenal. And remember, Atletico also made it to the semi-finals. All of them Visit Rwanda. A small logo at the patch of the shirt.
Amazing.
See? And then now the other facet is copyrights, which is what is talked around mostly in the creative sector. They protect artistry, anything. And it has to be in a fixed medium. One, it has to be new. It has to be in a fixed medium as well. Apart from that, then the other facets of intellectual property. There's something we call traditional knowledge and culture. And unfortunately, we were able to pass the act in the year 2016 in Kenya. So it simply protects the cultural know-how of our communities, of our people. For example, when you go to my people in Masaku, there's a place called Mwala, where they do a lot of carvings, where we got that technology from Makonde. When you go to places like Kiambu, and how is the tea grown there, No. Sorry, scratch that. That is, when I went to the tea, that is something called geographical indications, and I'll get to it. Yeah. Now, we have geographical indications, and fortunately now we have the GI Act that has come. Simply protect what is unique about a certain area, a certain region. When you look at, which is a perfect example, we have
Culture?
no, geographical
indication.
You've seen the tighter baskets, the ones that have been woven. That is a perfect example of what we have. But of course, because we for the longest time we've not had an act, it fell under different other realms of protection. Then just before I forget, there's something called a trade secret. And the most famous trade secret is, everyone knows it.
KFC.
The Coca-Cola?
The Coca-Cola. Yes.
Recipe.
Yeah, recipe. And again, that does not have
Does it exist or is it marketing?
I really think it's a marketing ploy.
Could be, yeah.
I mean,
Why does Coke taste the same?
Does it taste the same everywhere?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Does Coca-Cola taste the same everywhere?
I am not sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't been everywhere.
But look at it this way. What if the base ingredients and the formula is the same? Whether you just tweak a few things here and there, and then you have that, probably.
Or your water, now the taste of your water affects the
Yeah.
taste, things like that.
Yeah.
The type of your sugar that you're growing here maybe taste. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have bad water like Nairobi, floods, that happens, Yes. So I think in a nutshell, what I've described is that I've described all the different elements of intellectual property. Yes.
That's quite broad.
Yes,
If you
quite.
think it's quite broad, and I see how it's very easy to either miss our mark when it comes to benefiting from all of these IPs. And, now because the conversation today is mainly on sports, I'd want us to pivot to that.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can have different days where we get to look at all of these things because, wow.
Trade secrets. We spoke about geographical indications here just the other day.
Yeah.
Around, yes, for example, Muranga tea with Governor Kangata,
Yeah.
and it's like, that is unique. And I think tumelalia here. But before, before we get to sports, could I just ask one question? Because when you talk about geographical indications, I thought something like a Masai shuka, what would that fall under? Because it's
Good question.
yeah, and then you see a Masai shuka on a Louis Vuitton runway,
Yes.
and then you just say
You see a
question
Masai
mark.
shuka on a Scotsman. Is it Masai or is it Scottish?
Good example.
That's the bubble I wanted to bust.
Okay.
Is the Masai shuka really our creation? Is it from our culture?
Or have we
Sisi
applied
wa
it?
Masai.
Have we applied it better?
Tuko na shuka.
Probably we've applied it better,
Okay.
but I think also Scots have done it better from their traditional way. So
Yeah.
it's
With the kilts and all.
yeah, with the kills and even their clans. They have an entire clan system that
Different shuka, different pattern, different
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
probably we apply it in these parts of the world, and because of how Maasais are treated and how they are and how they're envisioned in terms of culture, maybe you've created a better
cultural
story out of it.
identity.
I don't want to bust anyone's bubble, but probably yes.
Okay.
Or
So
maybe
it
just
would
the
fall.
application. Maybe it would come into the red ochre that you apply on the hair.
Yes.
So various communities in Kenya, especially the Nilotic communities, do the red ochre.
Yeah.
So it's how you do it, then that will be maybe your cultural knowledge,
Yes.
which can be protected and can be monetized.
Yes.
Or how we do our beads
Yes.
and wear them around our neck and head and the ear.
I'm actually surprised. Speaking of the Kenyan bracelet, have we done anything to it? Have we patented it? Have we done anything to actually? Because it's now become a proper identification thing.
The Wakili is laughing. I don't think he has good news.
No. There are different facets to look at this thing because one, where does it lie when it comes to IP protection? Then, as a matter of fact, can you claim ownership over something that has visibility of the Kenyan flag and the Kenyan emblem? Those are the questions. They're quite. You see, one of the things about IP is that there are those small nuances, and sometimes you will want to have ownership about this, but then this is something that is owned by the Republic of Kenya. Can you protect it?
Can the Republic of Kenya then patent
it. But
I wouldn't
Republic
use
of
the-
Kenya is not an entity.
I wouldn't use the word patent because you see all those, but I would look at other forms of protection. And maybe, you see, we try and say that you're not making money out of this economy. But then as a government, if you're trying to create employment for young people, these are some of the avenues. Can you create something out of it? Can you protect it? Can you make money out of it? So those are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Yes.
And market it and increase visibility.
Yes.
Or even just use it as a thing that you claim to be yours.
Yeah.
Like Kenya, we make beads using the best whatever clay.
Yeah.
And a best example is how we apply it on our flag and our visibility
Yes.
globally and so on and so forth. Quite interesting. Okay, so we now come to sport.
Yeah. So I think one of the let me just lay a foundation here. One, the reason why the theme for this year is about sports is because we are going into a World Cup. Besides that, there are Winter Olympics. In next year, we have Rugby World Cup as well. So you can see where the theme is coming from. Sports. And to bring it closer home, we are hosting the
AFCON.
AFCON. And so for me, that was a thinking from WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization, to celebrate April 26th, which is celebrating also their 26th year, because the World IP Day came into force in April 26th in the year 2000. That's when they recognized it. Yes. So that is the foundation. But how does it relate with sports? One, let me just go back to the basic classification that we did. Patents. One of the things about sports is that there's a lot of innovation. And the most simple and basic innovation is the shoe that Kipchoge ran with. Is the other shoe that you're talking about that Sebastian Sawe ran with. Besides that, when you look at a World Cup here, for those who follow football, remember after the year 2010 World Cup, after Lampard's goal was disallowed, FIFA came up with an innovation, right? It's called what?
Goal line
The
technology.
goal line technology, right? So that's an invention. That's a creativity that didn't exist. That's a patent. Someone has a patent over that. Recently, and I think this comes from a World Cup, we have VAR, a technology, just to view, is it a penalty? Is it, has there been an infringement? All that lies under a patent. So you can see the relationship between sports and a patent. That's just one facet. Now, when you look at trademarks, what's in a name? What's in the visibility? When I look at Latif's favorite team wearing Visit Rwanda, what do I see?
Winners.
When I see my
Don't encourage him, please.
when I see my Nundi's rugby shirt, wearing whatever it is that you're wearing, what do I see? When I see Kenya Sevens wearing the sports pesa, the jerseys they've worn all years, what do I see? That's a simple trademark. When World Cup comes and creates a logo, a logo for the World Cup, what do I see? A trademark, visibility. When we have a theme song for the World Cup, and you remember each year we've always had theme songs for
all World Cups.
World Cups.
Yeah.
I guess you're dancing to
Waka
2010.
Waka.
2010. There is no other
Has
year.
there been any other theme song?
Right?
That was the theme song.
Come on.
Should have kept
we
that.
actually got 2 proper theme songs.
Oh yeah, we did.
Because there was Izamina ya Shakira,
Yes, and
na
we had
Canaans.
Canaans.
Yes.
Like,
You know what?
Waving
We
flag.
should have just allowed those to continue as
I
the
agree.
World Cup
No need to
anthems.
reinvent
Yeah.
Are you guys saying that because it was in Africa
Yeah.
in this part of?
I mean, there was. I mean.
But
it goes without saying.
Where in the world can you sing Zamina, Mina? And people don't know.
And funny thing, and now this even brings a bigger rattle when it comes to IP. When you look at a song like Zamina Mina, you know that was not the original creation from Shakira.
Yes.
It was from someone else.
Yes.
Correct.
And so even when you're doing that song, a person like Shakira, you have to go and get cleared from
By
the
the
original
original
owner of the song. You see how all
Kalewa.
this, and then you look at who is vested with these copyrights. Is it Shakira? Is it FIFA? Is it FIFA?
Is it
And
Is
in
it-
all this, just allow me, and I'm hoping I'm not confusing your audience. Allow me to just go into a very small rabbit hole. So when you look at songs, we have 2 major rights when it comes to copyrights. We have the economic rights, and we have the moral rights. The economic rights, just from the wording of economy, it enables me as a creator to be able to make money out of that. So whoever is making the theme song for the World Cup, they're going to get X amount of money, maybe a one-time payoff from FIFA. And or maybe if FIFA is agreeable, they get royalties out of it for X amount of time, and also FIFA gets something out of it. But there is the economic rights that we never talk about. And there are 2 major elements of moral rights. One, the right of paternity. If I am the creator of this, I have the right to be recognized as the author, and that can never be taken away from me. The second element to it is that in moral rights, you cannot mutilate my work. Right? I have the right to object about my song being featured in an adult movie. So you can't mutilate my work. So those are the 2 elements that I wanted to talk about. But the long and the short of this is that copyright is a major facet of sports. Now,
Can we hold that thought just
Sure,
there? When
sure.
we say copyright is a major facet of
Facet.
sports.
Yes.
What that means is what we'll dissect in the next half hour.
All right.
But hey, the questions are coming in so quickly. And I know the way we do it is with examples. You've mentioned the shoes. I'm seeing someone talking about the free kick spray that disappears after a few minutes. What does that fall under? Like, I think examples are the best way. Otherwise,
Yeah.
the tuta Sindio.
Yes.
We'll do that in the next half hour with Mutua Mutuku. We'll be right back after this. In our conversation, Mambo IP and sports, intellectual property and sports. And we're with Mutua Mutuku, who is an IP lawyer, and we were just going over the basic definitions in the world of IP. Now we were getting into sports specifically. But Mutua,
Yes.
you've said copyright is a huge facet of sport. I can see how it is uko maju. I can see how it isn't huku. But I think we were saying during the break, using examples is the best way, because I feel like it's so multi-layered. And let's begin with what someone had asked about the disappearing free kick spray. That's Benedict Wambua. It's like, okay, that free kick spray that they use that disappears after minutes. How do I, yoni patent, yoni utility, yoni trademark, yoni?
So, in as much as I've not internalized the ends of the disappearing spray, I think it would either fall under a patent or a utility model. So that is I think, because of how it is, it's a creation, someone who came up with this, it can do this, it cannot do this, it disappears after X amount of time, and the pitch goes back to what it was. So my thinking is that it's either a utility model or a patent. Yes.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of this conversation. So far, what we've discussed is everything around the sports. Like facilitating the sport. Talk about, the goal line technology and the VAR. Talk about the trademarks of, World Cup is coming, so the mascot, the what. But how about the sport itself? Say football, right? The sport itself and the players. The participants, even the fans. Where are the rights? Where's the IP
Can
here?
I patent football?
It's good that you've mentioned that. So, a sport like football, let me talk about the traditional sports that we know here. Football.
Bobsledding.
Yeah. Maybe footy, rugby,
Athletics.
One of the things that you'll discover is that the people who came up with the sports, I know rugby well because it's a sport that I'm very intimate with. When Webb Ellis came up with just pick the ball, ran with it, and created rules of engagement, how you score a try, how you do this, what happens in the event of this. So my basic understanding is that the people who had the right to some of these things, one would be the person who came up with the sport. But here's the catch. Every facet of all those intellectual property rights has a timeline. Has a timeline. For example, if you have a patent over this, a patent in Kenya lasts for 20 years.
Okay.
So after 20 years, you have to keep on reinventing. And that's why you'll keep hearing, and this is very famous in pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
For example, I came up with this medication, then next you call it
Plus.
X plus, X extra. So what they've just done is that the patent was about to expire. They don't want it to expire.
So they tweak it.
They tweak it, and then they get the patent.
Wanaongeza vitamin C hapo.
Wanaongeza vitamin C.
Extra. Okay.
Yes. So a patent, it's 20 years. Copyright lasts the lifetime of the creator plus 50 years. So if my copyright lasts, if I'm the one with the copyrights over this, and for example, I think most sports, the guys who came up with it, because you see, it's you sketch, you draw, and it's in a medium, you come up with the rules of engagement. Many times you have the copyright, but they last for your lifetime and 50 years after. So my thinking is that many times they will revert because of public interest. They will go back to the FIFAs, the rugby union, and
It goes back to the
federations that come up with these things.
Okay.
Now, you ask about the funds. One, the event itself confers no rights to any person. The attendance, the coming and the seeing the event, that confers no rights to anyone. However, how you behave inside the pitch could be a thin line between an infringement and you enjoying the sport.
Okay.
Ask me how.
How?
We are here watching football. I take my phone out and I start recording the match. I record the entire match. At the same time as I'm doing that, I'm streaming it to my fans. Remember, inside this pitch, there's someone who has broadcast rights, exclusive broadcast rights. What have I done?
Infringed.
I have become another broadcaster.
Yeah.
So I have infringed. So, one, the rights of the broadcaster, that's one, that's copyright. Two, if I have captured the logo of maybe FIFA, of maybe another entity, one of the sponsors who normally sponsor these things, I have reproduced their
Oh, Lord.
the logo. Again, a trademark infringement that also borders copyright infringement. So there are quite a number of nuances when it comes to that. Again, inside this pitch, there are players who have image rights. My image, my likeness, how I run,
How I celebrate.
how I celebrate.
Yes.
If I have a tattoo, they're even multi-layered, because if I have a tattoo, that is copyright. Maybe it's vested as an artist, but it's in my body. So all these are nuances that we need to be very careful about. But the thing is, the reason why some of these things don't come out is because many times people just say, you know what, let it be, let it go. Yes. So I hope I have answered you that.
So you've answered a bit. I can understand the guy who came up with Padel.
Yes.
Is probably
Yeah.
enjoying patent and copyright at present. If they're still alive.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the players,
Yes.
the athletes.
Yeah.
Let's take Eliud Kipchoge.
Yes.
What rights are around Eliud Kipchoge?
There's so many rights around Eliud Kipchoge. One, the biggest one is image rights. So, image rights capture the image, the likeness of Eliud. Right? And he has the right of commercializing those rights in whatever form it is. You can license them to maybe the parent company, which is Nike, and see what agreement you can come up with. I've also, I think this was something that you're having off air, that I have also seen that certain artists and players and athletes take these rights and put them into their holding companies. For example, Eliud Kipchoge, I form a company called Eliud Kipchoge that has, one, my image rights, two, there's also my trademark. You know? And then I vest them in that company. And probably I transfer them in a very tax-friendly country where now I'm able to fully maximize some of these rights. And you'll realize that when they're having conversations with some of these entities, for example, Eliud and Nike, you will realize that one of the biggest stumbling block is image rights. You're going to run with our show. There's visibility, but it's Eliud Kipchoge. So what percentage do I get? What percentage do you get? How do you go about the taxation? Because at the end of the day, the wins come, who's getting what are we getting taxed? So those are some of the conversations. And just to send our listeners to a rabbit hole, some of Mbappe's transfer to Real Madrid had a lot to do the back and forth had to do with the image rights. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So image in terms of everything. If he wears Nike, then Nike pays him to wear their brand.
Yes.
Name, Eliud Kipchoge.
Yes.
That is also a right, right?
Yes, that's a right.
Because you've seen, for example, Isuzu have an Eliud Kipchoge truck,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So is it the name or is it how Eliud Kipchoge writes the name? Because really,
Yes.
you can't claim that you own the name Eliud Kipchoge.
Why can't you?
Because there are very many Eliud Kipchoges. Prove that you're the only one.
If you no,
You
you
are
are the only
the-
one, or do you trademark it? Because
Eliud
the
Kipchoge.
Kardashians
Can you
are the
trademark
ones who
the name Eliud Kipchoge?
Yes, you can. So just let me just go briefly about how trademarking process happens in Kenya. So once you go to Kenya Industrial Properties Institute, which is the the body that deals with trademarks registration in Kenya, there are certain forms that you fill. And if I want to trademark the name Eliud Kipchoge, and maybe with a logo or something, or a twist, or how I write it, whether it's in italics, whether it's the font is something different,
my signature maybe.
signature maybe. What is going to happen as you're filling the forms, KP will tell you, you have to disclaim certain things about this name. See, like the way Latif has said, he's not the only Eliud Kipchoge you have.
Yes.
So you have to disclaim certain elements of that name. However, if you're going to use it in this context, then you have certain rights. And let me tell you what I mean by that. What I mean by that, I say, when you register a trademark, there are 45 classes. From class 1, which is the nice classification, class 1 to class 35 deals with goods. Class 35 to class 45 deals with services. So if I have registered the name Eliud Kipchoge, and Isuzu want to use it on my truck, then you have to get into a sort of an agreement that says, and the clever athlete is the one who's going to say, I'll take a huge payoff, but then I will also want royalties after every truck that you sell.
Yes.
The same
The
arrangement.
Michael Jordan
Yes.
model.
That
Yes.
model.
Yes.
The same thing that you do with the shoes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I hope I have answered you.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there was another good guy who comes out and he's a good runner, a good athlete, and his parents named him Eliud Kipchoge, and he breaks the marathon world record, and he becomes a big star like Eliud Kipchoge after Eliud Kipchoge has gone into retirement, what happens?
So again, let me go back to
And Toyota
yes. Want
to come up with an Eliud Kipchoge truck.
Yeah.
okay. Let me
This one
let me go
is
back
not
to
only a 4-wheel drive, it's self-driving.
Yes.
Let me just go back to again registration model of trademark. Remember when I said these rights normally vest for a specific period of time.
Yes.
Right? So if there's a Eliud Kipchoge trademark that is registered, it will be there for 10 years, exclusively for 10 years. Then after that, you have the right and the right of first refusal to renew this trademark for an extra 10 years. So if our guy is coming after
After the 20.
after the 20 years,
It's
and the
okay.
name still, Eliud Kipchoge still has rights about it, then until those rights are not exclusive, until they fall into the public domain, then he cannot have those rights.
So the
However,
first vote keeps the name.
yes,
The
it's on
new
a first
kid-
basis.
New kid tafuta jite the second.
Yes, but you can also do that, and you do with a different logo, because these things you can always do them in different ways, and that's where creativity comes in.
Comes in.
Yeah.
I mean, the nuances are so many to
Yes.
consider, and I see how people get tired with processes. They're like, kwanini must, and we actually lose money in that kind of way. I mean, when I look at the sports ecosystem, let's just even go back to as far as COVID, we've had people come up with athleisure brands. really good athleisure brands started off as small businesses and now big businesses. And I see an opportunity there. See an opportunity in terms of innovations. I mean, Kenyans are very innovative people who'd be looking at adding value to that ecosystem. But again, the nuances. So let's come down to someone who has a basic idea and wants to learn and really understand the intricacies of this, just IP and sports, for example. Where do they start? Because I know there's Kipi. Kipi, I've done trademark registrations. You go there, you're given a form, go figure yourself out. And those classes he's talking about, you have to go and understand, isani class gani na ine gani. So let's speak to the innovator who sat somewhere, has an idea, wants to go about this, and also wants to make sure that they're the next MJ of the continent. How do they go about that?
Let me pick something that you've said. One, intellectual property law does not deal with ideas at all. We don't do with ideas. The ideas have to be put into work.
Okay.
That's one. And this is where NDAs come before someone does anything. NDAs for listeners is non-disclosure agreements. Now, for anyone who wants to dive deep into this area of just generally, let me just talk about intellectual property law generally. There's so many other mediums out there. One, the World Intellectual Property Organization has an entire academy. Okay. It's called WIPO Academy, where all these are there. There are lessons, and it's for free. So you just need to sign up, WIPO Academy. You're going to get there's a primer course, and they will give you certification. I think I've also seen Harvard doing Copyright X. I have also seen that CPIT, which is Center for Intellectual Property Institute, which is an offshoot arm of Strathmore, also having some of these courses. And the beauty about some of these courses is that once you get into it, you get to have a basic idea, and then Kenyans like a lot of certificates. I have this certificate, I have certificate for this. For me, those are the low-hanging fruits that one can go into and just get into a rabbit hole so that you are able to understand all these different facets of intellectual property. But then again, I've also seen Kikobo, which is the Kenya Copyright Board, doing public awareness about different elements about copyright. I've also seen Kenya Industrial Properties Institute, that is KIPI, do the same. I've also seen Anti-Counterfeit Authority, which is an enforcement arm of all these IP rights, doing the same, creating public awareness. I have also seen that Kenya National Innovative Agency doing the same thing. So the wealth of experience and the wealth of education out there about IP is immense. You just need to throw yourself into the rabbit hole. Yes.
Whoa. There was a question on the national anthem, but I think that one we explained because, again, it's something that belongs to all of us. But going into the individual sports men and women, we at least have seen how they can benefit from their image rights, from intellectual property. Now, with organizations, is there something similar as well? I think of it as like in the music industry, you have record labels, you have, you have the artists, you have labels and PR and and all those people. Then you have aggregators, and everybody along that chain is eating. Is there something similar in the sports world?
Yes, and you will discover that fortunately or unfortunately, depending on where you lie, the biggest holders of intellectual property in whatever field are entities, are companies.
Unfortunately.
I mean, depends on where you sit. And trusts, all those are the biggest holders of IP rights. And I will tell you, if as a creative, as an athlete, as a person, if you want to hold your rights almost indefinitely, when you're looking at a succession plan for your children, the children after, whatever rights you've had, put them in a company. Just transfer them. So what you normally do, once I have a right, I can do it as a person, I can do it as an entity. An entity is either a company, a limited liability partnership, a trust, anything of such sorts, that anything that is capable of owning property. Remember, this is property.
Yes.
It can be owned just the way a company owns property, a person owns property, it's the same way. So transfer them. Because remember, these rights have a time period. For example, if it's copyright, and the entity that owns it is a record label, and you remember that most record labels are very particular and very keen on the copyright, because again, an element like copyright has so many rights. Their performers' rights, their mechanical rights, their synchronization rights. There's the composers. It's an entire minefield.
Yeah.
So they're very particular about who owns what rights. Now, if the right says about copyright that they will vest with the owner of the right for their lifetime and 50 years plus. So until this company dies, it is dissolved.
Yeah.
Remember? So it's a very clever way of structuring, and this serves as a lesson. Once you start making something progress about some of these things, you just need to sit down with the people who know these things and help you navigate, help you see, look at the future and see which element works for you best and what does not work for you.
All right. And the fact that a lot of people are not aware of these possibilities.
Yeah.
And I think even for young sportsmen and women, the earlier you do it, the better. How do I, where do I get IP lawyers specifically? Do I have to come to Nairobi? I know a few good ones, but ni watu wanai. I am in Kilgoris. I'm trying to do my best. Niko Kitui, trying to do my best, and I need someone. Is there any system that kind of works to protect athletes? And if not, how do they get access to IP lawyers so that they can know these things?
Mariam, one of the things is that the internet made the world a place of endless possibilities. As I think if you do a simple Google, you will come across quite a number of intellectual property lawyers. But then again, the thing about intellectual
Mko
property,
Nairobi kama nyinyi wote.
shida ni
Trust.
moja. It's a very niche area of law, extremely niche. And you see, IP is not like litigation. It's not like I will go mashinani. Now, if I go mashinani where guys are just farming and they're doing nothing else besides that, the economic model just serves that area.
Yeah.
How, as an IP lawyer, how do I survive in such an ecosystem?
Yeah.
And even in Nairobi, you will look at, when you look at IP lawyers in Nairobi, they work at what we call top tier law firms and top tier entities,
Yes.
for lack of a better word.
Yes.
So we can't take away the element that IP is quite niche, and there are elements to it.
Yes.
But I've also seen quite a number of sports agencies come up with packages. I think I can authoritatively talk about the before, which is a rugby entity that scouts goes as early as high school. Whatever you're doing, they look at a kid, they look at the potential, they take you, and they are sort of able to guide you through the process. They even give you scholarships. I've seen some kids come deep in Kakamega, find their way to schools in the UK, and life continues. I've also seen people set up tents in E10. Sports agencies. Unfortunately, they come from those Jungu areas. And they will go and they will look at the potential of an athlete. They will scout them, and they will facilitate them. And it's the same formula that has been borrowed from
the music industry.
From the music industry, where
I was just about to say, and that makes it a little bit problematic.
it becomes a little problematic. But I also want, if people can hear me, there's a documentary about Frank Ocean.
Genius.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Genius.
there's something Frank Ocean did. If someone is the word on YouTube is not very, very friendly for this show, but there is a way he did to get himself out of this ecosystem.
Yes.
And it's the long-term contracts. You know, someone scouts you when you have no money. So the power balance between that person and the entity is quite immense. You don't know. The people around you don't know what is going on. You know. And this entity wants to maximize. They want to get a pound of flesh from you. So there's a power imbalance, as you're saying. That is correct.
There's ways to work around it.
There are ways to work around it.
Let me end with the Frank Ocean story. It's
Yes.
a very, I quite love it. He was bound by a long-term contract that he needed to do. I can't remember how many
4 albums.
It was 4 albums,
Yes.
yes. And on his third, he wanted to make different music that is Frank Ocean-like. You know, when you talk about like Pink and everything, he wanted to make that kind of music. A record label says no. He's essentially bound, cannot do anything. So he did what was required of him and put out an album that is quite possibly the worst Frank Ocean album you will ever hear. It was T for terrible, but it met their criteria. Unbeknownst to them, he had been secretly working on his own music, the kind of music that he likes, and he immediately after that, he gave them Shikeni, Simliuliza album, ndio he. And he went on to put out, it's orange, not pink, sorry. I think it was orange. And he went out to put out that album and it became the best performing Frank Ocean album.
Actually, the following day, after he gave the album.
Just soon after us handing in.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And just to add on to that, this is why you find that once artists have made it in life, what they will do, they'll go back to the record label and buy their masters. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we keep learning every day on this show, and we thank you, Wakili. We'll definitely have you back here to teach us a little bit more about either it matters IP law or facets of the law that we are always continuously trying to understand and learn. Well, in the next hour, tukona Shika Mike, and our Shika Mike of the day is none other than Mr. Eric Latif. You have to stick around for that. This is Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time.